Last slide. All right. So welcome to this presentation. So like I was introduced to, I am Samuele from Fleek. So this presentation is going to be about presenting the tools that we created at Fleek to help you make IPFS applications. And there will be a special focus on NFT applications. So I'm assuming that you think NFTs are cool and you got a cool idea of an NFT application that you want to create. So we're going to show you some useful tool to deploy your site and to even create your NFTs. At the end of the presentation, you can like start right away deploying your application. So next slide. So like the two parts that we'll talk about, the first one is Fleek Hosting. So if you have an IPFS NFT app, there's probably a front end. Fleek Hosting can be used for the front end, and Fleek Storage, which also uses IPFS. And if you have an NFT, there's probably a file, a JPEG, or an artwork associated with your NFT, and you can use Fleek Storage for that. So we're going to talk about both of those things, and for both of them, I will show you a demo of a NFT application, an example. So it's going to be pretty practical. Next slide. All right. So first, let's talk about Fleek Hosting. So what is Fleek Hosting? Well, a simple way to put it, it's like Netlify, but on IPFS. So the idea is that if you have a static site using a variety of framework, you can use our platform to publish your application on IPFS. And the flow is very easy. I will show you in the demo, like we'll together upload a site, deploy a site, and you will see like the flow is very simple. So you can push your site on IPFS without too much problem. And we have all kinds of like fun features, like you can connect your GitHub account. We detect which framework you're using. There's a CI/CD flow included that I will show you afterwards. So like just to make your life easier, so you don't have to worry about your hosting. Also, IPFS is Web3, but we understand that you might want to use Web2 also. So when you deploy with Fleek, we also deploy on a CDN, which means that your site is accessible in a performant manner. So why would you want to do this? Well, if you're going to do an NFT application, then obviously you care a lot about decentralization. And if you care about decentralization, then it makes sense that you would want your site, your front end that your customers are going to access to also be decentralized. And that's where IPFS comes in. IPFS, the IPFS protocol allows you to decentralize your app. As you know, with IPFS, in order for your files to be accessed, and by your files, I mean your site, it needs to be pinned. And so at Fleek, we take care of pinning it for you. And since this is IPFS, if you want to pin it yourself, you can also pin it yourself. So like your site cannot be taken down, and it leverages IPFS. So that's a cool aspect of it. Also, we back up on Filecoin. It's a feature that we launched early this year. Like you don't have to worry about it. We just do it automatically in the background. And finally, framework agnostic if a static site. So just to talk quickly about what kind of site can I deploy on Fleek? So I say first framework agnostic, because we don't really care what framework you're using. You can pretty much deploy anything if it is a static site, which means like if you understand IPFS is a file system. So when you go to a site on IPFS, you fetch the files from the network. There's no like a server that runs some logic. So that's why only static sites can be deployed on Fleek and IPFS. And like I said, framework agnostic, whatever static site framework you're using, all you got to do is build your site, and whatever is output, you publish that. So whether you use React, Jekyll, Hugo, you can deploy everything provided the right settings. Also, we provide decentralized naming. So I know, like, when you have a website, you access it like with the DNS URL. For example, I go to Google, I go to google.com. But there are other types of naming other than DNS, and they are decentralized. For example, you might have heard about ENS, the Ethereum name system. Well, Ethereum is like DNS, but on Ethereum. And what is cool with Fleek is that you can connect your site with your ENS, and we take care of updating, keeping your site on ENS up to date with the latest version. So it's done automatically. You don't have to worry about it. So that's like a very useful feature that we provide. Also, earlier this year, we launched Handshake. It's another protocol for naming sites that you can use. You go on namebase.io here to get yourself in a Handshake domain, and you can connect it to Fleek. And again, keep it up to date. So it's just very fun that you can use either Web3 based naming systems. But like I said previously, we're both Web3 and Web2. So your site is accessible to a normal DNS domain. So if you have a domain, you can connect it to your site also. So you can have it both ways, Web3 and Web2. It's a cool feature of Fleek. Also, tools. In this presentation, I won't have time to go over them because it will be too long. But just some quick tools that we created. We have a CLI. So to deploy your site, you can do it on our user interface on app.fleek.co, or alternatively, you can do it with the Fleek CLI on the command line. It's just another fun way to deploy your site. We also expose a Fleek GraphQL API that allows you to create your small programs that interact with your Fleek account. The cool thing about this API is that the methods that we surface are the same one that we use ourselves on the front end. So like, it's pretty powerful. And it's worth exploring if you want to play around with it. And GitHub Actions. Like I said previously, when you create a site on Fleek, your site gets updated automatically. We have our own CI/CD pipeline that we give to every dev. But if you want to create your own CI/CD workflow, you can use the GitHub action to customize it. So just another fun tool that you can use. So it's worth keeping these tools in mind. If you go on our documentation, there's all the information on how to use them and etc. So keep it in mind. Some resources, like I said, docs.fleek.co. It's our docs. There's docs for everything that we're going to talk about in this presentation and more. The blog has articles about deploying your site on Fleek with different frameworks, like a tutorial. It's worth checking it out. And then finally, youtube.com/c/FleekHQ. That's our YouTube channel. There's a video for a lot of stuff, including hosting. There's one of the first videos that we have is how to deploy your site using React. So it's a fun tutorial that you can follow. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's a lot of content on it. All right, so let's just do a quick demo. I'm gonna close this. So the demo, what is gonna be? I'm gonna be on open a browser. Wait a minute. We're gonna deploy together a site. So I am on app.fleek.co, which is our front end. And here, that's my account. I have a ton of sites because I play around with it a lot, understandably. But here on the hosting tab, that's everything related to hosting. So I got my list of sites. And let's just add a new site. Click on this. And that's our flow to create a site. You connect to GitHub. In my case, it's already done, so it's easy. I can choose my account. And the app that we'll publish is the Crypto Museum. And I believe the correct one is this one. So IPFS, continue. And here we have our build settings. So just go, I'll go through it from top to bottom. So the first one is the repo and the branch. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Here we got the framework and all the build settings. So I know that my React application, is done with React. So I could select React, and it's going to pre-fill all of these fields. But some changes I need to do. So here I have a field called the Docker image. The Docker image is the environment in which your site will be built. So if you have a problem, for example, your site, you're able to build it locally, but maybe you have an error message on Fleek. That means that maybe there's a dependency that you have on your computer that you don't have on the Docker container. So just make sure that your Docker container contains all the dependencies. And this container is fetched from Docker Hub. So you can create your own Docker container that contains all your dependencies. And you don't have to use the Docker images that Fleek provides for you. But in this case, I want to use this Docker image, but I will add node 12 because I know my app needs node 12. So with our Fleek images, we have a version for each node version just to be more useful. Here, the build command, it is a React application. So if you know, created with create React app. So if you know the basic script, yarn to install all the dependencies, and yarn build to build my site. And when you build a site, it gets output to a folder called build. If you are using a different framework, then just add a different build command in a different directory and a different Docker image. So you can customize it for any framework that you are using, as long as it is a static site or a single page application. And then the base directory, maybe I can show you what the repo looks like to know how to fill this field. So that's the Crypto Museum repo that I am trying to publish. If I look at the architecture, so this, as you can see here, I got smart contracts that I will show you afterwards. I got various folders, and inside the app, here is where my React application is located. So like it's common, like with a Web3 project, that you have a folder that contains your front end and other folders that contains, your smart contracts. So if I want to publish my app, that is my app folder, I can put the app base directory. When I put my base directory to app, every other command and folder is going to be done relative to that base directory. So now I can deploy. Click this. And you are now on this part here. It says site in progress. There's a bunch of logs that as we build and do all that stuff is going to show up the input. And if you have an error, I highly recommend that you read the log because the error will appear in the log and you'll know how to debug it. So this generally takes like a minute or two. But I already did it for you here. So that's the Crypto Museum app that I pre-deployed just so we don't waste time waiting. So when it is successful, it becomes blue, and we give you a URL, .unfree.co. Any site that you do, we provide a free URL, but this URL is customizable. Like if I go on general, I can change the site name to DoraHacks 2021. confirm. And that's going to change. You see, it changed the URL. So now it's a customizable URL. So just pretty useful. I want to show you the domains here, because as I said previously, you can add the custom domain. So the custom domain is a DNS domain. So if you own your own domain on DNS, you can connect it to your site over here. ENS, you can add this here, and HNS here. So you can have like everything mixed up together. You can have both a normal DNS domain, simultaneously have an ENS domain, and simultaneously have an HNS domain. They're not mutually exclusive. That's just very useful. And just like that, we published our site to IPFS on Fleek. It's like that simple. And we'll go back to the presentation, and for a second part, we'll go back to the site and that we just published, and we'll show you a demo of how you can use Fleek storage to publish your NFTs to IPFS. So let's go back to the presentation. I'm gonna open it back here with a second. Present to view, present, move this here. Full screen. All right. So we showed the demo. Nothing burned like in the picture. So everything went well, but it's pretty easy to do. So I really encourage you to publish your site on a Fleek, because it's simple. Now part 2, Fleek storage. So what is Fleek storage? It's to store files on IPFS. For example, an image, a video, music, any kind of file that you want to store on IPFS, you can use Fleek storage for that. Easy. So like Fleek Hosting, there's a fun UI that you can use and to upload your files and access them. Like here on the image, there's a storage tab. That's the UI. There's an upload button. There's you see a list of your file, and you can there are folders. You can navigate, open files. It's pretty simple. Or if you don't want to use the UI, there's a library that I will show you afterwards that you can do it programmatically. And I said here performant because it is on IPFS, your site. You have a IPFS CID identifying your file, but like the same as in hosting, we're both Web3 and Web2. So we provide you with a CDN and a URL that you can use to access your file on your site. So you don't have to like compromise anything when you publish to IPFS. So what are the use cases for Fleek storage? Well, the first one is to store your web assets. So you know, like if you have a website, you probably have images like a logo, maybe there's a video, maybe there's a music. It can be any kind of thing. And you need to show them to the user. So one way to do that is inside your repo, you can put all your images, all your videos, and your assets. But the problem if you do that is that it's going to take a very long time to build your sites because it's going to have to be copied to a build folder. So it takes a long time to build your site. That's not good. So the solution is upload it to Fleek storage. You're going to get a URL like this. And what you can do is, for example, if you want to show the image, you open an image tag on in an HTML image tag, and in the source, you put the URL, and just like that, it's going to show up. And it will not slow down the build process. So it's the same thing that you would do with any cloud app, cloud solution, but instead it uses IPFS. But the second use case, and that's going to be the focus of the rest of the presentation, is to store files for NFTs. You guys go to the next slide. Before we go to NFTs, we're going to use Fleek Storage.js in the demo. Fleek Storage.js is a JavaScript library to upload your files on IPFS very easily. And I will show you how to use it. It's very simple. It requires API keys. So like, don't try to use it on the front end. On the demo, you do, but in reality, you're going to need a back end to protect your API keys and make your calls. But let's just talk about NFTs now. So with NFTs, very often there is art associated to it. For example, this image over here from a foundation.app, people can buy and sell NFTs, and these NFTs have an image, a piece of art associated with them. This is like very common with non-fungible tokens. So like what I wanted to show with this slide is there's a bad way to surface this image, and there's a good way to surface it. The bad way is to not use IPFS. It's bad because, for example, if I were to upload it to Imgur, for example, well, now I have a problem because Imgur could go down. And if Imgur goes down, this centralized service goes down, I lose the file. And now the NFT is worthless. Or this 123 URL that identifies my file, they could lose my file, for example, or they could refuse to give me my file, or they could change my file. And any of these action, they compromise the value of your NFT. So it's not good. The good way to do this is by storing an IPFS hash or the CID. It's better because you cannot change the CID. So if I change 1 pixel of that image, it produces a different CID. So like it fixes the problems with this here. Also, because it's on IPFS, anyone can pin and distribute the file. So that fixes the problem with the centralized service I pointed out earlier. So if you make an NFT application, you have to use IPFS. The alternative is not really good. All right, let's do the demo now. This is the demo that we just published. So I'm going to open a browser over here, and this is the URL. Now this app uses Robston. So, oops, how do I close this? Okay. Okay, I'm going to open MetaMask. And if you want to use the demo also, you can go on crypto-museum-demo.onfleek.co. I'm going to show you how it works. And after that, I'll show you the code, how it works. So I'm going to put my password. And now I see this. This is my account. Here, I have a collection of tokens that have an image associated with them. They're all on the Ethereum blockchain. After that, I will also show you the smart contracts. It's pretty fun also. But basically what this app does is I can choose an image, and Fleek Storage is going to upload it to IPFS, generate a hash, a CID, and this CID will write it on the Ethereum blockchain. So here I got this, create NFT. Now it's uploading to Fleek Storage. It's uploading. And after it's done uploaded, now it triggers a MetaMask transaction. I'm going to put my password again. I don't know why it asks twice, but here it is. This transaction is to write the CID to the Ethereum blockchain. So I'm going to create the gas, click confirm, and now it's minting the token on the web system, just like that. And if I wait a little bit, what I will see is that my token is going to appear in this list as it is accepted in the Ethereum blockchain. I want to show you the smart contracts. So here, that's the address of my ERC token. Oh, here it appeared. That's my new token. I know, by the way, there are people from China listening. So this is Cao Cao from the Three Kingdoms books, if you know that. Anyways, I want to show you the smart contracts. So it has a smart contract. Here it is. I can click on read contract, and each token has an ID. So this token is 100. So let me copy this. And if I go to CID, I can query token 100. Indeed, there's a CID in the Ethereum blockchain. And now I can go to IPFS.io/IPFS, copy my CID, and my image is there on IPFS. So that's how you can create an NFT, an example of an NFT application. I want to show you the code, however. So that's the code really quick. In this is an example demo, like I said. In real life, you have a backend that will make the calls and secure your API key. But because this is a demo, I put the API keys directly into the front end. It don't do that in reality. I just didn't have the time to create a front end. Anyways, the code. So here, I import Fleek storage from Fleek storage.js. And the part that does the upload is here. It's very simple. Await Fleek storage.upload. You give it the API key and the secret that the docs will show you how to get. You give a name to your file. Here I give it this name based on the token ID. And you give it the data to upload. Then it uploads, and you can get information like the IPFS CID. Then what I do is I take this CID and I trigger an Ethereum transaction. And just like that, I have minted my token. So as you can see, the upload to IPFS is very easy. It's like one line of code. And if you go to our docs, you'll see the other methods that Fleek Storage uses. It's like very easy. It's upload, get, just some basic stuff that are easy to use. So I encourage you to use Fleek Storage for your NFT project. It's going to save you a lot of time. And in the contracts, really quick, the smart contract is very basic. I pretty much got the ERC 721 contract from OpenZeppelin, and I added a few more functions like this CID that allows me to get the CID. And in the mint function, that's the one I coded. Here I increased the total supply. I mint my token. And then after I mint the token, I give a CID to that token. It's very simple. And just like that, now I have an NFT token with an IPFS CID written to the Ethereum blockchain. And now I can surface it with my app. So it's like very simple. Let me go back to the presentation really quick. Present here. I will make it full screen. All right. So the demo. I see time is running out, but we are done, so it's good. So just to recap, first part of the presentation, we talked about Fleek Hosting. You can use it to host your site on IPFS. So for your NFT application, you can host your front end, like I showed you with the Crypto Museum. Fleek Storage, you can host web assets, or for an NFT app, you can host the images associated with your NFT. Like I showed you inside the code, it's one line of code. It's very simple. So it's like very easy to interact with IPFS. And that's it. So thank you for listening. I encourage you to go to app.fleek.co to, first of all, host your site, upload some files on Fleek Storage, and just learn more about the platform. You can also go on docs.fleek.co, learn about how to use the tools. Or you can also go to our YouTube channel /c/FleekHQ. There's all kind of a video if you want to learn more about a specific topic. So yeah, thank you for listening. I don't know if there are some questions, we can insert them. But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Samuel, for the amazing workshop. Yeah, like guys, Fleek, check out more on Fleek. Basically, Samuel today shared two things. First is Fleek Hosting, that you can actually use Fleek to host a site. And also there's storage. So basically you can store any kind of asset, including NFTs, using Fleek's toolkits. So make sure you go to Fleek website to check everything. Let me quickly check if there's any question on the community side. Yeah, I think it's pretty much it. Yeah, we want to thank you again, Youssef and Samuel, for joining us today. And guys, audience, I see we do have more than 1,000 listeners today. If you have any questions regarding NFT storage or general storage of digital assets or hosting a site using Fleek, feel free to explore more of the toolkits introduced today. Go to the sites to check out more details. And if you're interested in joining the community, feel free to join the Filecoin Slack channel. Also, like, you can reach out to us and we can put you into direct communication with the host today. Yeah. So Filecoin Grant 1 on HackerLink is still hosting, is still live at the moment. So if you want to build any interesting dApps, applications using IPFS or interact with the Filecoin toolkits, tech stacks, and ecosystem, feel free to upload your project and join the official hackathon channel. If you don't know how to join that, feel free to reach out to us on WeChat or on Telegram, and we will respond to you there. Yeah, so we're still looking for new amazing projects to submit to the hackathon, and we're also like onboarding the whole Filecoin and DoraHacks ecosystem to vote for your amazing project using HackerLink's quadratic funding scheme. So go to hackerlink.io to find the amazing projects that you might be interested. Upload your project there. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out to us after this. Yeah, thank you again, Samuel and Youssef, for joining us. Have a great one. Yeah.